In this video, we're going to talk about how to take this corner design that was originally on a longer die and get the contour to fit the serpentine of this current die, which is 36 inches wide. So the first thing that we'll do is we'll go to grayscale, and then I'll click on the shape of the stone and come over and grab the contour tool, which is nested under the shadow tool here. And I'll just click and drag interactively till I get to about the same area that this one comes to. If I look up here, you can see that it gives a number for the offset. It's pretty close to 1.5, so I'm just going to type in 1.5 and hit enter. Come up to object and break that contour group apart from the original. And then I'll normally clear my selection by clicking off on the white, click back here, left click to get rid of the fill, and right click to give it an outline. So now I've got a contoured piece that I'm going to try to match to. If I select this with snap to object set, if I grab it from the corner node, I can click and drag and snap it to this corner node, and that way it's going to be exactly 1.5 inches away from the edge of the stone. But you can see it doesn't quite fit here. So the easiest way is to click again, and that gives you skew handles, and then you can skew it until it matches. So that's pretty close. If we go to wireframe, I'm just going to hit V. The wireframe shows the two lines. Our line is a little bit higher than our red one there, but it's pretty close. I don't know that anybody would really notice that. So it's pretty simple to get that to fit. However, looking at this design, I've noticed that this V-line here is a bit thicker and this V-line is a bit thinner, just the way that it was drawn before. So I'd really like to discuss how to correct this and make it work nicely. So what I'll do is take this design, break it apart, and that will let me choose these inside pieces to delete those. I'm going to go ahead and keep this outline because it's already outlined. So I'll keep that and I'll just erase a portion of it. So if I click from this node and come over here and holding shift, click on this node, that will select all of those nodes in between, and I can just hit delete on the keyboard to get rid of those. That'll turn it into a single line here that I can click on and hit delete, and it'll get rid of it for me. So if I go back to wireframe, you'll see that I've now got this, but I don't have any of the other stuff that I don't need anymore. So clicking back on this one, we'll use the contour tool to make a couple contours to the inside. Because the steps are different sizes, we're going to go 0.09 inches to the inside first, Control K to break it apart, click back on this one, and do 0.15 inches. Because those are different sizes, you have to do it in steps. So every time we do this, we're going to break it apart, click back on it, and recontour. So 0.09, break that one apart, 0.15, break that one apart, and we'll do one more, 0.09, and I'm just hitting enter every time I change that number, and then Control K to break it apart. So then we need this angled piece over here. So I will simply just draw a line, and if you hold Control while you do it, it snaps to 15-degree increments. So depending on what angle you would want this to be at, I think that actually looks pretty nice. You can go a little bit longer if you want, but I like that, so I'm just going to snap it right there. And then I'll do the same thing on this side. Just going to come about there, and holding Control again, snap it, click right there. To make those thicker, 0.09 inches, I'll just click on my line width tool. That only applies an outline though. If we go to wireframe, we'll notice we can't see a double line. So we'll have to go to object, convert outline to object, or Control Shift Q. And we'll do the same thing for this one down here. I think actually, since I made that one a little bit steeper, I'll go ahead and change the angle of this one to match a little bit nicer. So I'll go with that steeper angle there, and Control-Shift-Q to convert the outline to an object. Okay, so now that we've done that, what we'll do is switch over to Virtual Segment Delete. That will let us click to trim all these pieces out that we don't need. And you can either click or you can click and drag. Anything that touches that blue line gets deleted. Once we do that, if we look at these, they're actually separate from the other pieces. So with Virtual Segment Delete, if you hold Shift, it changes to a join tool. You drag around, and now all of those nodes will be joined together. Do the same thing at this side. You'll notice if I click here, it's only going to stop right there, and that's because we've got this rock pitching in the background. So I'll have to click a couple different times. And I'm just going around and deleting anything that we don't need. Holding Shift, dragging around it, and that way it will clear that up for us and close those in. All this other stuff on the left, using the Shape tool, we can select all those nodes and delete them. So the last thing that we need to do is connect these two pieces. So again, we'll just Virtual Segment Delete, Shift to close it. Do the same thing down here. They're not intersecting, so what you have to do is create an intersection first. Virtual Segment Delete there, and there. Shift and drag around it. And then that leaves us with this piece that goes up to here. So I'm just going to hold Shift so it selects all those nodes and hit Delete so that it's gone. Now if we go back out of wireframe, we'll have this whole piece here that we can come up and say fill grayscale, and then it will fill it in appropriately for us. Now you can see, looking at this, that this one matches the serpentine top a bit better than this one. So we don't need this one anymore, we'll just delete it. We'll grab this one and hit M to mirror, and it will mirror it over to the other side. And then we can go ahead and restore our fills, and it'll bring those back. Now what you see happen is it actually filled this incorrectly. It filled the inside correctly, but it gave us a fill of frost for the outline, which is not what we want. So we'll go back to grayscale. And the reason that that happened is because we had combined pieces together. The outline inherited the fill of the frosted area. So we'll go ahead and just refill this grayscale and refill this one grayscale. And if we select both of those at the same time, I'm just holding Shift to add that to the selection. Then we can hit Forget Fills, and what that does is it forgets that ever had a granite fill applied to it. So this time we can just fill it back in with black and it'll fill correctly.